Hi, welcome to the video, and today I'm going to share with you an article that will actually make you dumber if you read it. The title of the article is Ford, not Tesla, is making the electric truck that will change the EV industry. Ford recently came out with their design for the F-150 Lightning, their first all-electric truck, and this video isn't to disparage that. I think it's a very cool looking truck. It even looks good on paper. Elon Musk also congratulated them. I'm not here to talk trash about the truck. I think it's a great step forward. This is a very poorly written article though, and what makes it all the more worrisome is that I found it on Reddit r technology, and it's actually the 7th most highly upvoted article. Now, if this were r/funny or r/this is a joke, I would understand. But once we go over it, you'll see that this is just a blatant advertisement. And if Tesla were to write something like this, I would also call it out. But the fact that it's on, number 7th on a very, very widely followed subreddit goes to show you how widespread the Tesla FUD is. Like, this is a real issue, and I don't know if this person is actually paid by Ford or the company is somehow paid by Ford, but we'll go over it and then you can decide for yourself. But first, let's take a look at this article. In 2019, Tesla blew up the internet when it revealed the Cybertruck, but it was just a prototype that polarized people with its dystopian design. Right off the bat, this is clearly not objective. I don't even think I've heard Cybertruck referred to as dystopian before. If this were a work of fiction, or if they said that, this is just a piece of creative writing, I actually like that description. I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, you can see that it's a little bit off. Back to the article, Ford at the time was actually selling trucks, a lot of them. The best-selling truck for the past 5 years has been Ford's F-150. Okay, fair enough. Now Ford is going electric too. The F-150 Lightning is the company's first electric truck. In only a few days, 45,000 people reserved the F-150 Lightning. Tesla reportedly has 650,000 reservations for the Cybertruck, which hasn't started production. Okay, that's fair to note, but has the Ford F-150 started production? In 2020, during the pandemic, Ford sold 556,145 gas-powered F-150 trucks, according to Edmunds, so it definitely seems like Ford is poised to sell a lot of Lightnings. So now its bias is starting to show. You can say that it's sold this much in the past, but this is a new car and it's untested. We don't know how much it's actually going to sell. The Ford F-150 will be made at Ford's Rouge Electric Vehicle Center in Michigan. The first trucks are scheduled to be delivered next year. The base version with 230 miles of the range starts at $39,974, while the 300-mile version begins at $90,000. So for a 70-mile boost, you can pay twice the amount. Here, let's look at the Cybertruck. Cybertruck, it starts at 250 miles. With the same equivalent base price. I wonder where the Ford came up with this base price, and I wonder how profitable this F-150 Lightning is. You can see that Tesla has it beat, at least on paper, for its base model, and then for the 300-mile version, it costs $50,000. So you can get the 300 miles for $50,000 or 300 miles for $90,000, according to this article. To say Ford is going to, what are they saying? That it's going to change the EV industry when one of the main problems of EV cars is that they're too expensive. By offering a $90,000 300-mile range truck, it doesn't feel like you can say that definitively. Let's read the article again. This is an essential step in getting America to adopt vehicles, said Ben Prochaska, executive director of EV advocacy group Electrification Coalition. That's because it normalizes that EVs are for everyone. I agree, this is a step forward. I'm glad that Ford is finally catching up or joining the game. They are so incredibly late to the game. It also shows that EVs don't have to be small, expensive cars for people in urban areas. Here, there seem to be targeting a certain type of car or a certain type of people. This is also not Tesla's eventual goal. The way they write this is as if Tesla is not a car for the common man, or they're like an elite type of car, which granted they are as of right now, but their goal has always been to make an affordable car. In 2019, the average sticker price was $20,000 more than that of a new gas car. Meanwhile, the electric F-150 is only a little more than $11,000 more than more expensive than the gas version. And driving an EV can save a driver up to $14,000 in fuel costs over 15 years. And even though most charging happens at home, truck owners need to know there will be charging stations nearby. That's why Ford developed the Ford Pass charging network, combining established networks from other car companies under one digital pass. That'll provide 63,000 charging points across the US. Does that not sound like an advertisement? That sounds pretty advertising. Does this exist yet? Do we all have access to 63,000 charging points across the US? But I do know for a fact Tesla has developed their charging station. So if you had to compete between Ford and Tesla, who has the more robust charging station network? I think that's an easy answer. It's definitely Tesla. Automakers will need to figure out how charging will work for more rural areas. I'm gonna skip a little bit. Okay, they talk about Tesla's supercharging network. But then here we have this. If any vehicle is going to push the agenda of setting up rural infrastructure, it's going to be the F-150 Lightning. Why? You can't just assert this. Why is Ford F-150 Lightning going to be pushing the agenda? If anyone's been pushing the agenda, it's Tesla. This doesn't even make sense. In September of last year, 39% of Ford truck owners surveyed by auto shopping site CarGurus said they will probably definitely own an electric truck in the next 10 years and 28% in the next 5 years. Okay? This indicates a large chunk of Ford customers are at least interested in owning an EV. And this is before details about the Lightning were revealed. The implication being, man, if only they had heard the details of the Lightning, this number maybe would have gone up. And yeah, they said probably definitely own an electric truck. How attached are they really to the Ford truck? Younger potential truck buyers are at the forefront of adopting the latest tech. There are more price and environmentally conscious buyers who want a truck that's smart, with features like Ford's hands-free drive system Blue Cruise, over-the-air updates, and Alexa voice assistants built into the infotainment. This commercial advertisement talk screaming through. If that doesn't sound like an advertisement to you, I don't know. Maybe you should watch more TV. This is definitely an advertisement. So, quote, "We designed the F-150 to be friendly to first-time battery electric vehicle owners," said Darren Palmer. Features like accurate range forecasting and trip planning in the navigation system are meant to help drivers know the limits of the truck's battery. Meanwhile, Tesla's Cybertruck is pretty much an inside joke for loyal, longtime Tesla fanatics and early EV adopters. So if you didn't believe me that this was a biased article, a very shilly article, I mean, just read the last line. They're saying people that are fans of Tesla also think Cybertruck is a joke. And some people do. But to assert that everybody thinks Cybertruck is a joke, that, you know, they brought up in the beginning when they called it a dystopian vision, and now they're saying that even, you know, people that love the brand are laughing at the Tesla Cybertruck, which is simply not true. The reservation numbers show it, unless all these people are buying $40,000 to $90,000 trucks as a joke, then okay, I guess that's pretty funny. That's a lot of commitment to a joke. Now look at this Reddit thread, because this Reddit thread, it's pretty bizarre because people are so supportive of Ford, which is fine, but I don't know what they are basing this off of. Ford is going to sell tons of these to consumers, but more so government agencies, cities, states, contractors, and more. This is huge. This is upvoted 7,000 times. Where is this coming from? Why do you think this is going to happen? So if we scroll down, there's a lot of more comments that are pretty positive. We have to go pretty far down for someone to start calling out this article for what it is. And this is my fear when you read a lot of these articles, is that they are not unbiased. They're not trying to provide you with the best information. And I say that on both sides, but it seems like one side, the ICE, the classic side, is throwing a lot more shade at Tesla. They get way more clicks. So let's just go a little bit further down. Ford seems like the sneaky car company that just does things at least mostly right, because they were one of the few American automakers that didn't need to bail out money in 2009 either. I mean, yeah, they're doing better than GM, but Okay, let's go further down. As someone who is not in the market for truck, I do appreciate this is an actual utilitarian EV. It doesn't go for pure minimalism and solutions in search of a problem. This, I can see some validity to it. It's a truck that people are familiar with. I agree. Tesla style is fairly minimal and it might not be for everyone. And here is when the comments, I think, start to make sense. I have a great idea. Let's compare two real trucks when they're available rather than vaporware. And this follow-up comment is also very good. Yeah, I'm curious how Ford is going to handle the battery supply issues. Tesla has been pushing hard for a while for more supply, but they're still restricted by it. Tesla's total production across all models is currently about the same as only F-150 non-Lightning. If Ford is only making 80,000 Lightnings and Cybertruck is at 250,000 a year, and assuming they all sell, Tesla will still be number one in changing the market, even if people do like the F-150 Lightning more. And this comes back to how late in the game Ford is and how they are actually going to produce these cars at scale. What do you think is the most important part of an electric car? Most people would say that it's the battery. Tesla produces their own battery. That is a huge competitive advantage. They've been working on battery tech for years. What about Ford? Where are they going to go to? How do they source their batteries? Ford plans to manufacture its own batteries for electric vehicles. That's great, right? So when are they actually going to start manufacturing their own batteries? They could produce their own EV battery by 2025. 2025 is when they could actually be in charge of the most important part of this vehicle that they say is going to change the game, at least in this article. Ford's Lightning battery is built through a joint venture with SK Innovation in Georgia, and its production is unrelated to the other Ford EV and the Mustang Mach EV. This is a Korean supplier that will make batteries for Volkswagen and Kia and Lightning. So they have a lot on their plate. What happens if they get overwhelmed? What happens if they can't source materials? They are providing batteries for 3 different companies versus Tesla, which is making their batteries, producing their batteries in-house, and also trying their best to reduce the cost of batteries. And another thing that they also don't produce is, look at what's happening right now. We have a global computer chip shortage, and it brings further downtime at Ford. On a day when Ford was celebrating the introduction of its important electric truck, Ford also announced depressing news as it announced downtime of its major lines due to the chip shortages. So this is an issue happening right now. What or how did it affect Tesla? Most of the world has been struggling with semiconductor chip shortage, but how did Tesla avoid the shortage that seemed to plague the entire automotive industry? I'm going to link this article, but in short, they were able to navigate through global chips supply shortage issues in part by pivoting extremely quickly to new microcontrollers while simultaneously developing firmware for new chips made by new suppliers. Tesla is just faster. They have better engineers. They're always on the forefront of mitigating these issues because they've had to be so adaptable, literally leading the pack and just doing it all themselves. Ford has come out with a great car on paper. They are constructing this together from all these different places. They're Frankensteining together the best car they can, and I have no doubt they can produce a lot of these cars, a decent amount of these cars that are nice and they function well. But once you are moving on to the big amount of production, like 50,000, 100,000 cars, you are going to face these issues. There's a finite supply of these materials right now. There's a finite amount of way we can produce them. And the way Tesla has been innovating regarding their factories, regarding sourcing, regarding all of their capabilities is just unmatched. Ford has been so comfortable for so long. It's really going to come down to how are they going to build these cars at scale. And then we're not even talking about whether these cars can hit the numbers that they want. And we also didn't even talk about the towing capacity and how people that use trucks are going to use them. But finally, now let's just look a little bit at the rest of the stats and its competitors. So here we have the F-150 Lightning, the Tesla Cybertruck, Hummer EV, and Rivian. Everything, it's pretty comparable. Like I said before, the F-150 Lightning is very, very close to the base model Cybertruck. And it seems like it can't just be a coincidence that it's so close. And I wonder if Tesla had never made the Cybertruck when this would have come out. My guess would be never. Until somebody else pushed Ford to do this, this would not have come out because they aren't even ready to produce this at scale. One thing I want to look at is horsepower right now. So we can see these two horsepowers, 426 and 563. Tesla's most expensive version will be up to 800. Both the Hummer and Rivian also have more horsepower. Their max towing capacity base model seems to be equivalent. Then we also go to the payload capacity. It's less than Tesla, at least on paper right now. Like I said, I like the Ford F-150. I'm glad they came out with it. I think it looks cool. I think it's going to sell. But when you have articles like this come out, that Ford is changing the EV industry just because they finally decided to play the game, and it's upvoted as one of the top articles in our technology, I think public perception is off. And it's based on misinformation and a lot of doublespeak and comparing apples to oranges. And you can have another favorite truck. You can prefer one person's design over the other, but you can't change up numbers. You can't say one company is now a huge threat to Tesla just because they came out with something in Photoshop or they came out with something on paper. One thing that also happens a lot in these articles is they constantly say, look what happened in the past. Because this happened in the past, this is a great representation for the future. So they're saying because Ford sold this many trucks in the past, they're going to sell a lot in the future. That's just also like saying, oh, because, you know, in the 1800s, we had 2,000 horses that were being bought and used. In the future, we should have more types of horses being bought and used. What happened in the past is not a great indicator for what's happening in the future. You have to look at what's to come, where everything is headed. So you can look at Tesla's sales in the past, and of course they're less because they are the youngest car manufacturer in this game right now, or at least youngest legitimate one. I'm not talking about all these startups that are probably, majority of them are going to be out of business in 10 years. Tesla has not sold that many, but they are ramping up their capacity now. And we just have to look at how many factories are coming online, their production capabilities that each factory can do, and just do some simple math. We know they're going to sell millions of cars at some point. That's just a fact. And all these articles denying that that's going to happen at some point, it's just not good reporting, and us as consumers need to understand what information they're omitting and what information they're highlighting to kind of morph public perception of what's going on. I'm glad Ford has an F-150. I just want to reiterate that. I don't just want to push Tesla. It's not a perfect company, but it is on track to be one of the biggest companies in the world. And I still haven't seen anything that says otherwise. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Let me know what you think though. If you like the Ford F-150, what do you think is actually going to be a good competitor or an alternative to the Cybertruck? Let me know your thoughts. Please give me a follow if this was helpful at all. This is Green Knight Trading, where squares become nice. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.